Then when you've got Angel screaming, Angel does it again. And
That was something, right?
That was something.
I'm sorry, you canceled the support for the game a month ago.
Why would they even host a trade?
I don't know.
And I sit down and he picks up one donut and eats it. So you want to like QA games?
When the rubber meets the road, they're gonna be like, oh my god, I don't like seeing Mario get his skull smashed.
Oh, I would love
It
to see
doesn't
that.
work.
I would love to see
Yeah,
that.
again, like I said.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to BF20 Podcast, the number one related podcast on the planet. My name is Tom, also known as the Lanky Soldier. I'm being joined by my co-host, General of Florida's Alligator Platoon, Ray Edmunds.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Ray?
Don't mind me, I'm just checking something with my mic arm. I might have to put a crowd fund out there to get a new one, because it's getting old, kids. It's getting
Subscribe
long in its days.
Subscribe to Patreon so we can afford that. And if you listen to
Yeah.
if you listen to the podcast about Battlefield, you probably heard about the horrible news that happened a couple of days ago. Sir, the second jet just crashed into our MCOM. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sad. I'm proud of that one. I was right. The Lanky Soldier himself, the Messiah, Jesus, the chosen one. Listen, Al Gaib, call him whatever you want. The Lanky Soldier, me, was predicting
Keep
the
it up,
future.
I might have to get the rowboat out, because it's going to get deep.
Oh yeah. I've been predicting the future beat by beat, word by word, since the inception of this bloody podcast. And more specifically, starting with the late 2023. So, but that's okay, fear not. Not everything is doom and gloom. I will do my best to explain, while Ray will try to keep up with me, because I have some really interesting hot takes. Ray has some hot takes. It's gonna be a really good episode, and I'm really feeling like...
this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and I'm feeling really lucky. I think we're gonna be just fine. Here's a nice tidbit for the future again. As I'm the Messiah predicting the future for the last 2 years, we'll be fine. I'm just gonna say this: we'll be fine. But I'm asking you all to listen to this podcast. My dear listeners, just grab a drink, a snack, enjoy this very deep emotional discussion we're gonna have on this godforsaken franchise, on this godforsaken podcast and everything.
So sit right down, get yourself a lovely cup of tea, and have yourself a lovely tin of biscuits while we go over exactly where everybody done fucking went wrong with guessing about everything about this franchise for the last 6 months. It's going to be a bloody spliffing good time, so please, have a seat and enjoy.
I'm just saying, believe with us. All I'm asking you is to believe with us, because when you're in the same emotional state as me and Ray, nothing will surprise you anymore, and you will be never disappointed ever again. You know. So anyway, before we continue with the discussion, just friendly reminder to have leave a rating on the podcast, leave a like, share this podcast with everyone, leave your feedback in the comments or in the Google Forms document that is in the description. Give us all the feedback that you have, and let us know how we doing. How's the podcast? How's everything going? Is our presentation is cringe or something like that? Let us know. Give us all the feedback. And more importantly...
and don't be like, you guys suck, because that shit just hurts my feelings, and that doesn't get anywhere.
Yeah, I'm very emotional. I'm so sorry. And more importantly, this show is sponsored by you. Yes, you, our dear patrons that keep this, podcast going. Keep all the patrons that keep us, pushing us forward to do better.
Yes, contrary to popular belief, we are not funded by Electronic Arts.
Unbelievable, yeah. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. More on that middle of the show. So anyway, Ray, let's begin. Are you feeling it, Ray? Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs?
I'm crabsing it, Mr. Fields.
So, first topic. I won't say first topic, more like the whole topic of this episode. So, a couple of days ago, there was an article by Arstechnica. And it was basically discussing AAA gaming. The AAA discussion and all that kind of stuff, right? How game development is over bloated, how AAA gaming is unsustainable, all that kind of stuff. But
a lot of identities are lost or have been lost due to the ever so growing problem of fad chasing.
Well, whatever the case may be. So the article was written by Samuel Axon on Arstechnica, and the title of that article is "What's Wrong with AAA Games? The Development of the Next Battlefield Has Answers." So they've been focused on the next Battlefield game, talking to the people that worked at EA, or still work at EA, and they've been working on the next Battlefield game. and everything that was the article is very long. So we're not gonna read you the whole article, but I'm gonna read you. But you probably listen to this podcast. You probably never read that article. But here on the BattlefieldOne podcast, we do read the articles. We actually do our due diligence. So we actually gonna read you the summary of the article, so you understand what's going on and what's happening.
But at the same time, we're encouraging you as well in order to
Yes.
pick it up and read it as well. Don't just
It's a
take
really good
what
read.
we're
It's-
saying as an accurate breakdown of it, because again, this is still all our opinions at the end of the day, even though our opinions have been fucking right here as of late.
The Messiah also got. I'm just saying. I'm Jesus. I'm just saying. I was okay. Well, not. But I'm just saying. I was right for the last 2 years, and I still have some predictions up my sleeve, and I think we'll be fine. But anyway, off topic. Going back. So this article is a really long one. We recommend you go and read it yourself because it's a really good article that basically shows a lot of good stuff. Of course, not everything is probably true. Because there's truth somewhere in the middle, you know. There's some maybe little detail is not correct, maybe it's a bit wrong, whatever the case may be. It's still a good read because it paints you like a good picture what's happening behind the scenes.
What this article basically does is it looks at the business side of things a little bit more in depth than most articles of this type do. A lot of journalistic articles and stuff of that nature, they like to cover the development side of it and the artistic side of it and the process and everything. It doesn't really ever get talked about is the behind the scenes stuff, how management handles stuff, how the dumb shit that management can do. This article kind of goes over that a little bit more in depth. So that's why we're encouraging people to actually read it. Because it's very eye-opening as far as to how a lot of inner workings, as far as I guess what would be considered office politics goes. That's a subject that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand, but to me this is not surprising whatsoever because that's what I've been saying to you for the last 2 years since this podcast got rebooted. I hate that. I hate to be right. I hate to be right so much, but goddamn, it feels so validating to know, like, yeah. Your brain cells are working, and you actually pay attention what's going on. So I'm proud of myself. So please subscribe to Patreon so you can pat me on the back, saying, "Well done, Tom." Anyway, so here's the article. Here's a summary of the article, so you understand what's going on. So, the next Battlefield game is shaping up to be one of the most ambitious, expensive, chaotic undertakings in EA's history. According to the extensive new report from Arstechnica, the game's development is plagued by eternal conflicts, shifting leadership, and a breakneck timeline. With EA reportedly investing over $400 million into the project, the pressure to deliver a hit is immense. Internally, EA is targeting more than 100 million players, far beyond any previous Battlefield entry, a goal that developers themselves consider wildly unrealistic, especially given the state of the project today. The game is being built by multiple EA studios spread across the globe, including DICE, Criterion, Ripple Effect, and Motive. But instead of cohesion, this multi-studio approach has led to cultural clashes, communication breakdowns, and fractured vision. Each studio brings its own workflow, priorities, development style, which has made it difficult to unify the game's design. Former Ridgeline employees, the studio got closed down a year ago? Yeah, a year ago. Who were former Ridgeline employees, were originally in charge of the single-player campaign before the studio was shut down earlier last year, have described the transition as messy and directionless, with many assets and ideas having to be rebuilt from scratch. One of the most alarming details from the article is how EA executives allegedly pushed the game into full production before it was ready. According to the several developers familiar with the project, key development gates were bypassed. The article explains what gates are, what they mean by that, but it says basically like stages of development, like showing like, oh yeah, if you hit this milestone, we can move on with the next production level or whatever you want to call it.
Management gatekeeping and setting unrealistic milestone goals.
Oh, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Just like a development thing. Anyway, continuing. Including prototype testing and milestone approvals. This meant that the entire systems were being built without having been properly vetted or play tested. When concerns were raised internally, those sources were often ignored or sidelined as leadership became laser focused on hitting production deadlines and marketing beats instead of ensuring design integrity. While EA has made big promises about the game's scale, including a massive live service multiplayer offering and a return to cinematic single-player storytelling, the reality behind the scenes paints a different picture. By May 2025, which is last month, every major component of the game except for the single player had reached its alpha stage. But the game is reportedly 2 years behind schedule, with major gaps in both design and implementation. Okay, I know the summary here. It's talking about the single player, not the actual game, but the single player itself.
Right, and I think we need to kind of put a bullet like right there, and and talk about that part right there.
Yeah, the single player. Which I've been saying for since the. Okay, anyway, continue. Multiple.
The problems that I'm seeing right now so far is this is always something that falls down upon management. Management being more focused on hitting milestones than actually making sure something is working. Now, what is wrong with that? That seems like progress is happening. Why would something be wrong with that? Well, let me explain to you why. Imagine, dear listener,
just keep
if
it
you're
short so I can
building
finish the article.
a skyscraper. You're building a skyscraper, right? And you've got to you got to lay the foundation, right? Before you start building on top of it, right? And then you have to build a frame, and then you have to, once that's all done, then you have to slowly work your way into the externals and the internals. There's a process that has to be followed for things to run smoothly and be done smoothly, okay? So right now, what EA is doing is going, the concrete for the foundation isn't completely dry yet. We're not even 100% sure it's leveled, and we've got all the air bubbles out of it. We don't even really remember if we put rebar in that shit or not. But, let's go ahead and start putting 50 floors worth of a framework up. And then, now what's going to happen is they're going to get now they've gotten all this framework built up. Now they're realizing, oh, shit, things are buckling and bowing in places that we didn't account for because we didn't let the fucking concrete dry.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is a major problem in not just EA DICE. It's not just them. This is game development. Period.
AAA gaming in general, yeah.
This is what we have been screeching about in AAA for years. And the funny thing about it is if you're paying attention to the world nowadays, it's not even just with our video gaming that this shit is being done with. Not to get conspiratorial or anything. Think about your products. Think about your cell phones. Think about your computers. Think about your cars. Think about equipment. Think about everything that you interact with every fucking day. This type of shit is what is going on behind the scenes as far as the development goes. Yep. It's in shitification. It is purposefully put. And I don't even really 100% think it's always purposefully put in. And it's not even that nefarious. This is just incompetence at its grand scale.
Incompetence, yeah. But anyway,
not knowing how shit works on the ground level because you never worked in the ground level because we don't promote management from internally anymore. Yep. That's a problem. So anyway, continue.
Yeah, continuing. Multiple sources say it's unclear whether the single-player mode will even ship at launch in a complete form. Actually, you know what? This one, I was doing an episode.
Not even shocked.
I was doing an episode of BattlefieldOne Podcast, last episode, by myself, and I mentioned that I can see that happening. I don't think they will do it because it kind of feels wrong on so many different levels, but I can see that happening. And like next week, this article comes out, and I'm like, look at that. Anyway, continuing. So it might be delayed or scaled down significantly. Another concern in the return is the return of crunch culture across several studios involved. Despite EA's public stance on recent years about improving work-life balance, developers describe increasing long hours, weekend work, and mounting pressure from management to accelerate progress. Some raise concerns about employee burnout and team morale, especially among newer hires who joined expecting a healthier work environment. There's a growing sense that the project is being driven by executives' timelines rather than the recent development pacing. Still, not everything is doom and gloom. Internally, multiplayer playtests, particularly those from the private labs alpha, has shown signs of promise. Core gameplay mechanics, gunplay, and large-scale battles have reportedly tested well among dev teams and select partners. There's an optimism that, at least on multiplayer front, the Battlefield might be able to recapture some of its former glory. But the big question is whether the rest of the game, particularly the single player and the live service components, can catch up in time. The entire situation feels eerily familiar to what happened with Battlefield 2042. Overambitious goals, inconsistent direction, and overwhelming reliance on live service updates post-launch ultimately led to a rocky reception and months of damage control. Which is true. Many of the many of the same patterns appear to be repeating now. The difference is EA can't afford another flop on this scale. Yep. With hundreds of millions on the line and fan base already skeptical, the stakes for the next Battlefield game are enormous. Right now, no official release date has been confirmed, and insiders suggest that while EA is aiming for the late 2025 or 2026 launch window, delays are still on the table, which I've already been saying for the last year, for the last 6 months, when Andrew Wilson is saying, yeah, we're thinking releasing the game this fiscal year. When, Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson, when? Fiscal year? That's why I've been saying for the last 6 months, this is the key point, that no EA CEO was ever like, yeah, game is releasing sometime. Anyway, going on, there's concern internally that if the game is forced to ship too early, it could launch as a complete or inconsistent experience, especially if the single player isn't ready. Some developers have even compared to building the plane while flying it, an analogy that is far too common in the AAA development days. Ultimately,
all right, let's bullet point. Let's
last paragraph. Ultimately, what's happening with Battlefield isn't just about one game, it's a reflection of the broader challenges facing large-scale game development in 2025. Big budgets, global teams, live service expectations, and massive corporate pressure are creating environments where vision and execution often clash. Battlefield has always been a franchise defined by scale, chaos, and spectacle, and ironically, that's exactly what's unfolding behind the scenes right now. So that was the summary of the Arstechnica article. And there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot of good information that's packed into this article, and I mean, and there's a lot of breaking things down so that things make sense. I mean, let's just one of the things that was mentioned in the summary was the lofty goals. I mean, right there alone is a very this whole 100 million player bullshit. That is a highly lofty goal. And for those that don't understand that, allow me to kind of break this down for you, because I was looking up some facts while what was going on. Let's take what do you think is one of the most top-selling game franchises that exists ever? I'll give you a hint. The next one is coming out next year, and it's a milestone that I've said that these guys either need to beat or kind of get in along with the wake later on thereafter. Tom, would you like to take a guess as to what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what game is it, Ray. I have no idea.
That game is called Grand Theft Auto.
Really?
Now here's a funny thing. Now let's look at some numbers here real quick. Peak concurrent copies sold for Grand Theft Auto 5. Okay, this is Grand Theft Auto Legacy Edition, not the Enhanced Edition, because you can't really put those figures together because that would double the figures over, right? Because essentially if you bought the Legacy version, you got the Enhanced Edition for free. So we can't look at the player count for Enhanced. We can look at the peak for the concurrent, but we'll get to that here in a second. Now, how many copies of Grand Theft Auto Legacy do you think was sold worldwide throughout the entirety of its lifetime? Tom, take a guess.
I actually have no idea. I have no idea, because the GTA has been selling the best-selling game every fucking year in the top 5 all the time. So I have no idea.
So it had to have sold well over 100 million copies, right?
Yep.
About 215 million copies throughout the course of its lifetime.
Since 2013?
Since its launch in 2013.
Yeah, okay, 15. I remember the year. Okay, 13.
Yeah, that's okay. Now, that is 10 years. 10 years that game has had to cook to sell 215 million fucking copies. Android Wilson wants the next Battlefield title to hit half of that at launch.
No, the article said in the timeline.
Over the course of its life.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, does he think this game is going to live for 10 years? Because again, Grand Theft Auto Online is one of the main reasons why that game has sold the copies that it had. Let's not mince words here. Let's not fuck around, and let's not lie to ourselves here. One of the big reasons, and you can tell in the Steam achievements, multiplayer gets more focus in that game than the single player did. And the ironic thing about that is Grand Theft Auto has always traditionally been a fucking single player franchise. So this is the level of stupidity that I see out of this comment. Oh, Battlefield's got to hit 100 million players over the course of its life. It ain't happening, bro. Never. Not in your wildest fucking imagination. Because what do you think was the most popular, what would you think was the most sold Battlefield title out of the entire out of all of it? Throw me a title real quick, Tom.
It's
Let's Battlefield 3?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Second is Battlefield 1. Battlefield 3 is still the best Battlefield game they have. Battlefield 1 came close.
Okay.
I don't know what's the third
as
one.
of
Probably Battlefield 4, I'm guessing.
would you like to guess how many were sold?
Battlefield 3 was 30, I think. Battlefield 1 was 20. Am I close?
15 million.
Battlefield 3?
15 million.
I read someone that was at 30 million.
These might be first month sales figures because
maybe, yeah.
Here's the thing. This has it summarized as Battlefield 1943 selling 1.5 million copies, Battlefield Bad Company 2 selling 9 million plus copies, Battlefield 3 selling 15 million. 4 and Hardline don't seem to have numbers for this one, so let's this is revenue. Where is the actual sales figures? 25 million people played Battlefield 1.
Yeah,
so a quarter of that.
I still know that Battlefield 3 is still the best-selling game.
But it didn't hit no 100 million copies sold, is the point that I'm getting at.
All right, so
no fucking title in this franchise has ever hit 100 million copies. So, Mr. Wilson, hey, Mr. Wilson, get your head out of your ass, bro. It's never gonna happen.
I might as well go with the hot take now. So, I will say this. And before everyone's gonna lose their shit, post this on Reddit and call me for being an absolute moron, or EA shill, or whatever the case may be, let me just say this. Let me explain. I understand EA in this case. I understand where they're coming from. I understand. Because, honestly, realistically, Battlefield is a joke. I'm sorry, it is. Battlefield is a joke. It's been a joke for the last 5 years minimum. Us hosting a Battlefield-related podcast right now,
kind of a bit of a joke.
It's a joke. We're a joke. I'm sorry, but we are a joke. Battlefield as a franchise is a joke. And us hosting a Battlefield-related podcast in this time is a joke. Me making a website for Battlefield 1 podcast is a joke. Why the fuck I'm spending money on a franchise that is a fucking joke? It's a whole big ass joke. So, EA being EA, and if I was in EA position, like if I was Andrew Wilson, and I look at how my most valuable franchise, the juggernaut, the traditional FPS shooter of the whole gaming market, right? I'm supposed to be with the big boys out there. You know, I should be there with Call of Duty, with Fortnite and everything. I'm like, I should be there because we're Battlefield. We deserve the best. And we've been, like, since the original Battlefield 1 podcast days, 2015, you know, this is technically our 84th? 83rd episode? No, 85th.
I stopped counting after COVID, bro.
Well, I was the one making website. I was documenting each bloody episode. In total, we have 85 episodes. And since episode 1, we've been saying, like, Battlefield deserves better. Battlefield deserves to be there with the big boys back in the day, 10 years ago. We're saying that the Battlefield deserves to be there because it has the talent, has the structure, it has everything to be the best FPS shooter in the market. It's
always had that potential. And that's what's always kind of made it shine amongst everything else, is that it's just always had that potential, but it just never could quite. There's only been a handful of times where it was able to stand toe to toe, and that was, back in the quote unquote golden days.
Yeah. So, if I'm being Andrew Wilson and I look at this, like, yeah, we need to make some changes, and we need to go ambitious and everything, because look what Epic Games is doing with Fortnite. Look what Activision's doing with Warzone. Look what they're doing. Like, sure, Warzone's not doing well, but that's not the point. 100 million players, right? So we have to specify here, though. 100 million players. Okay, it was hit by 3 games, as far as I know. Well, not counting GTA, but like when it comes to shooters, 3 games managed to achieve that. Maybe 3. So Fortnite, of course, Call of Duty Warzone, and Apex Legends. And maybe PUBG, maybe. I actually don't know. So maybe 4. So 4 shooters that managed to maybe touch that area of like 100 million players. What makes them so like similar to each other, Ray? What makes them similar to each other?
All of those games,
yes.
They have their own individual identity.
But on a technical level, what makes them all similar?
Realistically, at the end of the day, they all share a battle royale component.
Free-to-play element of the game.
And a free-to-play element.
The free-to-play is the catch here. So when EA looks, because I'm pretty sure they looked at Apex, like they looked at their own games and like how those games, how's Apex Legends doing? Like, okay, how many players we have here? Okay, how's Warzone doing? Okay, so we can maybe justify, maybe this goal is achievable if all the pieces come together. If all the pieces come together, yes, I think Battlefield can get. It's a hot take.
Real quick, no, PUBG never did hit 100 million. It peaked at 84.
Okay, sure, 84. All right,
but still, but that should put shit into
it would be
more of a perspective.
Yeah. Perspective. 84 million for PUBG, sure. So EA looked at all these numbers and everything, and if we know that Battlefield can be the top dog in the
could not can
could.
Let's differentiate here. It could hit that potential. It has that possibility to do it as long as it's managed right. It's allowed the time. And this is shit we've been saying for years.
Yes.
It needs the time to cook. The corporatization of the development side of it needs to go. It needs to stop. Over management, over this whole bullshit of spreadsheet management and all this rest of this and crunching and all the rest of this crap that they're doing to developers nowadays. Hot take real quick. Here's a real hot take for you. Not a lot of people know this. At one point in my life, I actually wanted to be a game developer. Around about the time when we started this podcast. You know what's funny about it? And I actually sat the time, I put my time in, and I actually learned how to do modeling. I was talking to people. I was really pushing in order to get a job in the field, specifically with DICE. You know what's funny, though? The work culture. The constant crunch. That shit does not appease me. I don't do my best work when I'm forced to do it, and I was put into that position in my life. I quit a very, very, very high-paying, lucrative job because of that type of fucking culture. Being forced to work 100 days plus in a row, 12 hours plus at a shift, it ain't fucking fun, kids, and you don't do your best work. I don't give a shit how cocky you are, how long you've been doing a fucking job, or how great you are at it. When you're forced to work 16 to 18 fucking hours a day with minimal sleep, minimal time to eat, minimal down and shit, you do start losing your craftsmanship. You start losing things because this brain, this gray thinking muscle up here, it needs time away from work. It needs to be able to stop. And again, I don't give a shit how much of a workaholic you think you are, because again, I've been there. It doesn't fucking matter. You don't do your best work. I do my best work when I take my time with it, when I sit down, when I look at a character and I study it, when I look at a ship model and I take my time and I detail it and I think about every little fucking thing that I'm doing. I pre-plan, I post-plan, I think of shit, I think. Management ain't capable of that. Management nowadays wants shareholders demand this so that this number can stay up. We need to keep telling them that these goals are being made. We have to do it in a fucking PowerPoint presentation and lie to everybody at the same time, while at the same time forcing people to work 18 hours plus a fucking day. And then as soon as the product's halfway done or sold or on the fucking market floor, we got like 1,500 people that we can just up and arbitrarily lay off because we don't need them anymore. So,
you Xbox?
Bye-bye.
Why you Microsoft?
No, this is every fucking studio. All of them do it. But and we want to sit here and go, well, why aren't video games what they used to be? You know what's great? Super Mario wasn't made under crunch.
So we also had a developer that was actually part of this group that article said that they needed like a break from game development, like a mental break and everything. We had a developer on this podcast, episode 22, I think, when we had Chemo on, Chemo explained to me like how he just had to take a break from all this shit because it was too much. Like we had to develop we literally had to develop from DICE, well, former DICE, talking like, yeah, shit's brutal, shit's brutal.
Surprise! This was not timestamped. We hope you're enjoying the show so far, but we need to stop for a second and tell you about some important stuff. And now that we have your attention, it's time to tell you all about our amazing Patreon that is helping us keep the show going. Patreon.com/TheLankySoldier.
But yeah, episode 47, you paid for this.
I'm sorry.
I'm not, I don't care.
In my defense, I didn't know it was broken or it was going to break upon squeezing it gently. Battlefield 1 podcast was rebooted in March of 2023. We learned a lot of lessons from our previous shows that consisted of 41 episodes, and we've been building amazing foundations for the future with this current show. There's a reason why we're the best Battlefield-related podcast available on Spotify and anywhere else. We've also had the honor of being listened to by DICE, Ripple Effect, and other developers as well. Now, we want to share even more with you through our Patreon.
And I've never seen her. So I will be like crying and yelling. And I will not be the same person I am right now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that kind of emotion. I know we're emotionally close and everything, but I don't think we're that emotionally close.
Yeah, that will be an experience of its own.
We want to thank everyone that has joined as a free member or subscribed to our Patreon in the last year. The support is greatly appreciated, always was, and always will be. It's amazing, and it only motivates us to continue with our Battlefield journey. By simply becoming a free member or even subscribing to any paid tier, you're not only supporting the show, but you're also getting a lot of content back in return.
Right, because Call of Duty gets so annoying sometimes, I actually got so desperate I installed League of Legends again.
Oh my god. The perks of any tier is you'll get ad-free early access to all of our future episodes. You can already listen to the previous episodes ads-free as well, simply by being a free member. There's no more waiting, no more interruptions, just pure unfiltered Battlefield content straight to your ear holes, from our mouth holes, and anywhere else. You know, it's amazing, isn't it?
The only reason why CTE did as well as it did back in the day, guys, is because it wasn't locked down to secrecy. Those that couldn't participate were still able to see what was going on. That's the point that I'm getting at right now.
We're also giving you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into making the Battlefield 1 podcast or any other content we produce, from planning sessions to recording mistakes and everything in between. You'll get an insider's perspective on how we bring each episode to life pretty much from start to finish.
And the reason why I'm saying
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's all my fault.
It's all your fault, right? You ruined the whole show. We need to cancel it again.
Just gotta can it for another 8 months again. Just appear out of nowhere with
we need to cancel it again.
Colors.
Ray, what the fuck did you do?
And that's only Battlefield. We're also offering access to our exclusive Patreon podcast series, Live Gaming Gathering. This is a show where friends and special guests get together and talk about everything from the video game industry to movies and, whatever else is on our minds at that particular time. With more than 40 episodes already available, there's hours upon hours of content for you to listen to.
All right, I think we need to move on because we've been kind of on this subject for about the last 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
We got a couple of things in order.
Are you feeling better now? Let this
Yes,
team off.
I do feel better. Oh no, wait, one more thing. For example, Angelo. We've on discussion.
I'm not going to mention any names.
Trust me, these are some of the most fun and amazing conversations we have ever had on the show. Because it's just us being us, relaxed and actually having fun. Almost like you're sitting alongside us with the conversation. Yeah.
So the reaction from the Fortnite community is like, okay, every time we see a Cybertruck in the server, it's our mission to drop everything we're doing and send that player back to the lobby.
We also believe in keeping our patrons informed, so we post monthly recaps to let you know what you probably missed during last month's episode, and we're making sure that you're not missing anything important. Just recently, we opened a brand new Discord server where people can talk to each other and get all of the latest updates about our content or the Lanky Soldier channel. Find the link in the description of this episode or at our Patreon. No subscription needed.
You are, as a
You
player.
have been measured.
Yeah, you've been measured.
Because we're confident that you'll love the content we're creating, we're offering a free trial that you can use at any time. We believe we're making good content that will make you stay, and we would not be offering free trials if we didn't think so.
I've seen a lot of people literally get excited, like, you know what? This looks very familiar, clearly ripped from somewhere, but damn it, that looks good.
So, if you want to support the show and get all of these amazing extras, head on over to patreon.com/TheLankySoldier. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep delivering the content that you enjoy. Thank you for being part of the Battlefield community, and thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you on our Patreon. Now, let's get back to the show.
like, anyway, but going on. So, going back on the topic, I understand where EA is coming from. I understand. Doesn't mean I have to agree with that. So, but remaining on the...
Yeah, we get that it's got to sell, bro. We get it. We get it. The product has to sell.
So, from the understanding point of view, I understand where they're coming from. I fully agree with them that Battlefield needs to be there with the big boys because it has the potential to be there. That potential has been since 2011, since Battlefield 3. I'm sorry. Since
the problem being is it just hasn't earned the fucking right in order to get there.
I'm getting there. So, all this potential, right? Wasted for the last 10 years. You know, listen, Battlefield 1 was great, but it was under the surface, nothing. Under the surface, this game was boring and it had offered nothing longevity-wise. Nothing. Then Battlefield 5. Launch was not good. Definitely not. And the way abruptly it ended with the live service and everything, because we have to focus on the next game, making sure it's actually good. Battlefield 2042 comes out. I'm not gonna say much about that. And listen, with all due respect, I understand EA's like, okay, we need to make changes to how we make games and everything. We need to look how the mainstream audience, how mainstream gamers interact with their games and everything, right? They see how they interact with Fortnite, they see how interact with Warzone, they see how interact with other games. So we have to make structural changes. Because realistically, if I'm EA and I have to make some important decisions, don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Andrew Wilson here. Andrew Wilson should resigned after 2042 fiasco. He should resigned. I'm sure EA is doing probably good in other levels, like, you know, sports and everything in other games. Sure, whatever. But after 2042, Andrew Wilson should have resigned. And honestly, let me tell you this: I don't think we hate CEOs enough. I don't think we hate them enough. I think they deserve a bit more hate than we actually implying here. But I mean,
they make more money than everybody else on the damn floor does that's making the fucking product. Why don't they catch all the goddamn hate?
Like, okay, so for example, 400 million for this game. Okay, I was kind of expecting that kind of number because every Call of Duty game is kind of similar number. So I was expecting the same. Andrew Wilson's earned 35 million, but whatever. The point is, if I'm EA and I have to make structural changes, I make those changes, right? I bring people with experience, I bring people with some expertise and everything. I bring Vince Zampella, I bring Byron Beatty, I bring Marcus Leto, that was supposed to make the single-player game, the Battlefield universe, right? Fresh new start, fresh, like, reboot and everything. Let's start from scratch. Let's make this, you know, Battlefield great, right? So we set up everything, studios across the world and everything. We'll try to work out, and these three people will be responsible for everything regarding this franchise. And I can see why DICE is not happy about that. From the article did mention that DICE is not happy about their American overlords telling them what to do with the franchise. But with all due respect, DICE, if anyone's listening, DICE, I'm sorry, you don't deserve any benefit of the doubt. You fumbled so much for the last 5 years. You don't deserve another chance, honestly.
Well, hold on there. I don't want to entirely.
Okay. Let me finish.
Just the developers on this because
no, not developers.
The team only works as well as it's being.
I'm not calling out.
It took everybody working together to fuck up as hard as.
I'm not calling out the developers, individual developers. I'm calling out as a company culture, right? I'm calling out everybody
from the CEO down to the dude who sweeps the floors.
So let be more specific. I'm calling out the whole company culture, right? The whole company as a name, right? What did DICE produce in the last 5-10 years that is meaningful and that doesn't feel like a waste of time and doesn't feel like every game is starting everything from scratch?
I mean, Mirror's Edge, I could arguably
sure,
say
okay, one game.
The last good thing that came up out of the wild, out of the blue, that was original, that was 100%, and it rightfully earned the accolades that it got. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One single player
without hesitation.
Game. Yeah. Okay. I'll give them that. But what did you do to deserve our, like, well, I won't say respect, but like, yes, I'll give you my money. No, you did nothing. You screwed up so many things. again, on a cultural level, I'm not calling out the individual developers. I'm calling out the cultural level of DICE. And when DICE gets pissy, that we've been actually saying for the last, 5 years, actually, DICE needs a guide. They needed a guide, them to guide. Like, listen, you have all this talent. You have all this expertise. Yet you fumbled the bag so many fucking times. We need to put you back on track. So, EA is like, listen, you're fucking this up way too fucking often. Yes, EA with their unrealistic expectations, not fucking helping. Fully agree. EA can fuck off. But I understand where they're coming from. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from. So they bring Vince Zappel, they bring all these developers, and listen, and they have a vision. Whether you agree with that vision or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you agree or not. That's the vision. We need to compete with these big boys because we have the expertise and the talent to achieve those numbers. Sure, is it 100 million in 2 years, let's say, a bit unrealistic? If all the pieces, if all the pieces come together, can be done. I think it can be done.
I don't think so. I'll stop you right here and I'll counter you on this one. I don't think 100 million players is ever going to be possible for the Battlefield franchise right now, and one of the main reasons why is because one of the things like you sat there and said right now, trying so hard in order to compete with the big boys. You know what's funny? Some of the best shit that's come up out of the last 10 years is shit that didn't even try to compete. Shit that carved its own shit out. Fortnite carved its own path. Didn't try to be like anything else. Well, except for PUBG a little bit there at the beginning. I mean, we could argue.
Yeah, that was a big drama about that, yeah.
But here's the thing. Both those games still have an individual identity. I can tell what's PUBG. I can tell what's Fortnite. I can't tell what fucking Call of Duty is anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And do we really fucking want that for Battlefield? Do we really want Battlefield to lose its identity so that it can hit 100 million players? Because let's stop and think about what actually needs to happen for that to happen. Everything that we've laid out, all of these games that have managed to hit that achievement, let's think about what those games actually are. All right? There are a lot of free-to-play titles. There are titles that rely heavily on core monetization from fucking, monthly markets and battle passes and shit like that. They rely heavily on access to everybody trying to appease everybody. And now, next thing you know, you got Beavis and Butthead skins in your Call of Duty game. For whatever reason besides to just spread your ass cheeks for $1. Let's be real. That's what's going on.
Also, let me just say this. So Call of Duty managed to hit that number 100 million, right? I think in the first year. But again, it's Call of Duty, so that's kind of obvious. And it's a free-to-play element and so on. But I fully agree with you that Call of Duty...
That is clout that Battlefield doesn't have and never will.
It can. But anyway, that's if all the pieces come together. But I agree with you. Call of Duty, for example, and I fully agree with you as a constant Call of Duty player, regular at Warzone, I tell you right now, yes, Call of Duty lost its way in the last 2-3 years. It did.
It's selling like fucking hotcakes. It's selling like fucking gangbusters, but look what it's become.
It's a really complicated issue. Yes, they're still making money and everything.
No,
but
it's not. It's a fucking simple issue. Companies saw money. Money got dollar signs and eyes. When we do what we can like whores to make money. Yeah. And they are doing just that. Yeah, they are doing the capitalism.
Yeah, I fully agree that Call of Duty lost its way in the last 2-3 years. As a, like I said, constant Warzone player, I hate it. That being said, Call of Duty Warzone was fantastic in the first year. So because it was under, like, whatever you think about Infinity Ward, at least they had a vision. And that vision was made by Byron Beatty. He was one of the people responsible for that vision, how Warzone came out originally. And that's why they hit 100 million players, because they had a vision, they were a good battle royale, a free-to-play element. It was Call of Duty in a battle royale form. So
yeah, they knew what they wanted, they achieved it, they stuck with it, and then once they hit that goal, then the skirt lifting got worse. I mean, but again, Battlefield is not fucking capable of doing that. Battlefield has not been capable of doing that since Battlefield 4. They have not been able, in order to have a decent, sustainable launch, they have not been able in order to maintain a decent amount of player base. And let's not even talk numbers here. Let's just talk it just happening, okay? They're able to launch stably. They're able to have a stable number of consistent players that have already invested in the core of the game, and they're capable of putting more content out that keeps that existing audience engaged and has the potential in order to bring more audience in. Think about it, kids. Has any of the Battlefield titles lately checked any of those fucking boxes?
No.
None.
No.
So for us to sit here and say, oh, I believe that Battlefield could do this, I'm sitting here, and as much as I want to agree with you, I can't. I can't do it. What needs to happen is they need to get their identity straight. They need to figure out what the fuck it is that they want to do with the franchise, actually laser focus in on it, not fuck it, and put some horse blinders on. We need to stop caring what everybody else is doing. We need to stop wasting our fucking time looking at what Call of Duty is doing, because they said those kids sold all the things, and we need to stop looking at Fortnite, because they got all the sales too. We need to do the one thing that every developer we have ever fucking talked to who has worked in this franchise, worked around this franchise, or worked in the industry while looking at this franchise has said. Fun come first, money make second.
Right.
Not money make first, fun whenever we fucking feel like it. Because I'm fatigued of that shit. That's why I don't buy Battlefield titles anymore. Thank you for giving them to me, EA.
We're shitting on them just to get games for free. But here's the thing, like I told you, like on the early episodes, 30 episodes ago. Listen, before even the game was announced, we still were in 2042 era. I'm looking forward to the next game, and I think they will nail the aesthetic of the game. I think it will nail, the feel of the game. Because
the visuals and everything would be great, because that's what's come to be expected.
No, just the whole
from them.
Just the whole package, right? Like how I feel about playing this game. Like I did say it before the game was even announced, like with the IGN article back in September. I said, because they have Vince Zampella, they have Byron Beatty, they have people that actually know what they're doing and so on. So they have a vision, right? They have a vision. They know they have a vision for Battlefield that can make them successful and so on. Cool, whatever. That doesn't matter. They are appointed to make that vision, like we said. Also, for the last, 10 years? We don't have a vision. No one knows what Battlefield is, because we had Battlefield 1, that is a completely different game from Battlefield 4, then Battlefield 1 is a completely different game from Battlefield 5, and Battlefield 5 is completely different from 2042, and 2042 is different from everything else in the Battlefield franchise.
And not even just terms of visual aesthetics. We're talking about literal time, era, weaponry, tactics, everything. It's
formula, the gameplay mechanics, everything, right? How they work and everything. And it's not about appeasing to the mainstream audience. Battlefield doesn't fucking know what he wants to be. So that's the problem. So that's why that's why I was excited 2 years ago when I heard that Byron Beatty is working on the next Battlefield game. Vince Zampella is overseeing the whole thing. So I'm like, okay, finally. So we have the talent, we have the skills, with everything. You just need a guide. You need a vision that will guide you, like put you like, here, I need this. Get me that. Do that. And when they do that, it will.
Well, it's not just that. It's not even just direction. It's just letting shit have time to cook. I will tell you this. I don't give a fuck how good you are, okay? Think of this in terms of cooking. In literal cooking, okay? You could be the best person in the world at reading a recipe. You could be the best person at making sure that every single ingredient that you measure is precise down to, like, the fucking microgram or whatever the fuck, non-freedom unit you guys use. You could be the best as far as that goes, okay? But if you suck at, like, let's say sautéing or grilling or baking, or you just take and go, all right, I've spent like an hour mixing this cake batter up, and it's the best cake batter in the world, and that shit tastes amazing out of the fucking pan, and I get it scooped into my pan, and I throw it in the fucking oven at, whatever temperature it needs to be, and then 15 minutes later, I stupidly go, boy, my cake should be done, and I pull the cake out, and the cake isn't done, but yet I still flip the pan, try to pull the cake out, and when I'm greeted by a whole big gooey batch of batter, I go, well, fucking stupid oven didn't cook my cake right. Do you see what the problem is here?
Yeah, that's where the unrealistic EA expectations come in, speaking of unrealistic expectations, but yeah, that's why I was really excited for this new game. And you know, it's like, yeah, we've been negative for the rest of the fucking episode right now. I'm still real looking forward to this
We're
game.
being positively negative. This is
I'm
shit
still thinking.
Like that.
Yeah, I'm still thinking this new Battlefield game will be fucking amazing. At least on the multiplayer side, and maybe even the Battle Royale section. I think this game will be fucking amazing. I've been negative for the whole fucking episode. Towards EA, towards DICE, towards everyone, because this screams absolute mismanagement on all possible levels. That being said, everything we've seen from Battlefield Labs, everything was announced, everything that we talked about, and everything we've seen, this looks promising. The signs of that, I already said, this Battlefield Labs playtest is more entertaining to look at and looks like play than Battlefield 2042 in its whole entire edge. But anyway, going back on the unrealistic expectations, the article mentioned about the single player, which is the whole shtick, the whole point why we have this problem in the first place. The single player. When I heard that Marcus Leto, the granddaddy of Halo, is coming to EA and they're opening a new studio and they're making a new single player. They're basically making the universe for Battlefield, right? We're starting from scratch. We're gonna make a whole Battlefield, your whole Battlefield cinematic universe, right? Whatever the case may be, right? I got excited. I was like thinking, wow, fuck yeah, finally. The thing we've been saying for the last 10 years, it's finally
there's
happening.
actually a good captain at the helm that's gonna take over and is gonna do this right, and it's gonna do what what I personally have, like, even I got swept up in this. Like, I've been like, oh my god, maybe we'll get a Battlefield cinematic universe or what the fuck ever, and everything will be tied together and things will make sense, and it'll.
Yeah, and
got
for example, like, so we making a website, and on that website, we're gonna, well, I already did. I'm documenting everything we've been saying for the last 10 years, right? I documented everything we said in the last 10 years. So I went through it through that website. I still not live, but I want to see how it works. And I search certain keywords, see what we discussed. And in episode 13, I mentioned that Marcus Leto leaving the studio, leaving EA, and the whole company and Ridgeline Studios being shut down. I was cussing EA for this nonsense. And this article basically says, yeah, so they were making something, they were behind schedule, there was a lot of development problems, and they were not happy how everything is going at Ridgeline. Okay, our context, that sounds reasonable, but then you read the article and say, it's because EA put unreasonable expectations for this new studio, because they expected Ridgeline Studios to work the same way as DICE, as Ripple Effect, as Motive. Studios already got established, they have a workload, and they expect Ridgeline Studios, a brand new studio that's still trying to get things going, still trying to figure out the workflow and everything, and they expected them to do this instantly. So putting unrealistic expectations on the studio, and that's what killed the studio, because they could not meet those deadlines. So this is, again, EA being douchebags, but I understand where this is coming from, but still being douchebags, right? So that's what pisses me off. I was really looking forward to this single player game. And as I said, as I gone through this, through the website and reading what we discussed in there, I predicted this, for example. What was it like? I believed on that episode, number 13, as I go through the website, Tom believes that the new development teams will not continue Marcus Leto's vision for the next Battlefield single player game. Look and behold, came true. Absolutely came true. The work was given to Criterion, then it was given to Motive, and everything they got, we discussed the last couple of episodes ago about the new single player details. All the media got inspired from last year. The movie Civil War and the show Lioness, the media stuff that came out last year. So that basically tells us everything that they worked on, scrapped, deleted, never be brought up again. And the whole fucking shtick of this...
That creates problems in of itself, too.
Yeah, so
wasted
the whole
time, wasted money. You're definitely wasting
literally
that money.
Wasted.
If you're going to shutter a studio and throw something away, that literally is losing an investment. That's like selling stocks in the fucking negative. And I don't understand why corporate management thinks that doing shit like this is appropriate. I mean, you either work with what you fucking got or you just stop doing it, period. You don't hand it off to another studio and go, well, now it's your turn. Pick up where they left off. We're not going to have any previous instructions or any idea of how the hell they did this either. And best of luck, champ. Wait, why isn't this what I wanted it to be? This is another problem with corporate culture these days, and corporate not understanding how shit is made. If you don't understand how a thing is made, it's very hard for you in order to understand when you're sending unrealistic things. And that has been 99% of this franchise's fucking problem. And DICE Sweden calls it out. DICE Sweden has always wanted to make the best product that they possibly could. EA has always wanted to just huck it as best they possibly could, instead of just letting DICE make something that they're proud of, that they know is going to be fun, it's going to be engaging for the player, it's going to be what the player base actually wants, and then the money comes afterwards. This has been a core problem. They're trying to make a live service model while trying to make a fucking game. And if it doesn't seem like it's going to sell, instead of it being fun, the sell has to happen over the fun. And that's a fucking problem. You can't. It's gotta stop. This whole bullshit of upper management not understanding timetables when they're unfamiliar with them because they never coded a thing in their fucking life, or they've never worked in Macs in their fucking life, or they've never done anything artistic at all in their fucking lives, which is another argument I throw out there for fucking AI bros who anyway.
Oh my god! I know this is off topic, but have you seen what when Microsoft did the layoffs a couple of days ago? There was a executive or something like that at Microsoft saying you should use AI to deal with your losing your job as therapy or something like that. Have you seen that? Oh, you haven't.
No,
okay.
And I'm cringing at the thought of
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh, he deleted that fucking fast.
Oh, you lost your job recently and you can't afford to pay your bills. Anyway, talk to my energy-hogging, highly polluting fucking AI chatbot in order to make yourself feel better.
Yes, that was basically that. But,
what the fuck is society coming to? Seriously, what the fuck is society coming to?
Going back on their unrealistic expectations for so Ridgeline Studios got hit with unrealistic expectations. That's why Marcus Leto was fucking. This explains everything. This is why Marcus Leto was extremely angry at EA and literally told them in the most diplomatic way of telling them to fuck off. So he told them to fuck off diplomatically because I understand. Like I want to know what happened. And this article basically says, because EA was pushing unrealistic expectations on a studio that just got founded, right?
The worst part about this whole thing is the funniest thing is it's just now being apparent that it's happening in video games. Like shit like this has been happening in TV and music and fucking
it's happening everywhere
in general. It's been happening in all sorts of our fucking media for ages. Everybody wants to sit there and go, look at what happened to the MCU. All right,
oh my god, good, perfect example, yeah.
Here's a perfect fucking example of a franchise imploding on itself because it got more focused on the money instead of just making something good. And we can throw this at everything in the fucking world right now. Everything in this fucking depraved society of ours is so focused on making money. Like we throw our fucking cars away when they break down. We throw our phones away when the battery dies in it instead of being able to replace the fucking battery in it. We're more focused on the product. We have to make the product. The product has to sell instead of asking the question, is the product that we're trying to sell any fucking good? Yeah. Marvel. Prime example. They had a vision of what they wanted. They built this thing up. They built the fucking Infinity Stone saga up over the course of the beginning of their movies. They earned the shit. They earned the accolades and the rights that they had at establishing and doing all of that shit. And then finally when Endgame happened, Endgame literally happened. That was the vision. The vision stopped. There was no direction afterwards in order to go. But yet at the same time, we had to make product. We had to keep turning the fucking meat grinder, even though the meat that we were putting in it, instead of it being, grade A quality Angus beef, we're now throwing squirrels in that shit and wondering why the sausage that we're making doesn't taste the same and people aren't buying it. And no matter how we try to frame it in marketing, it's still not appetizing for the people to fucking eat it. So instead of eating that, the people are just eating dirt or whatever other fucking restaurant people are making, because that's how capitalism fucking works too. That's exactly what's going on in the video game franchise as well. Why isn't this game what it used to be? Well, because it became more focused on making the money instead of making a good product, making something that's fun, making something that people want to engage with, that would sell a lot naturally over time. We have whores running companies nowadays. They want money. They don't care whether the shit's good or not. They just want to make money.
As I was going through their website, I literally saw what I said. I checked what I said, and I said that any human being, like any normal human being in a different job, when you waste millions opening a studio and you show nothing for it, and you close down and you're still saving your job, that's fucked up. That's
highly.
Listen, I already was calling for Andrew Wilson's head after 2042. I was already calling. I was calling for that. And after the Ridgeline Studios got closed down, after you brought all this talent and everything to have a vision for your Battlefield, finally you sort a vision. Like, listen, this is our universe, this is our game, this everything, this is us, this is Battlefield, right? We start from scratch, we start like, this is us, right? You bring all this talent to do it. You bring studios, you start to, like, sort out everything. And of course, when you make big structural changes like that, no matter what company you are, there will be some growing pains. That's
Things take
expected.
time.
That's expected. You know, like when you're opening a new studio and you're trying to combine all these 4 studios to work together on something, of course that's expected. There's going to be some growing pains. You're going to have some roadblocks and everything that will need to be sorted.
I mean,
But
especially if nobody has worked together before. Like, if
Exactly,
no people have any
right.
baseline of interest. Like, these people gotta, you know, it takes a month and a half at minimum for people to start becoming homogenous and working together. And besides that, on top of that, the initial crew, your dream team crew that you put together, it might come find out that they might not like each other. They might not want to work with each other anymore. I mean, goddamn, look how many great movies have been made that were one-time things, but because, you know, behind the scenes, nobody fucking liked each other, but yet the dream team was there, it got done, and I mean, I feel like video game execs wants this to happen with that, but the thing is, it can't happen that way. You know, people have to get along in their workplace for them in order to produce good work, too, because at the end of the day, if I'm working around a bunch of assholes that I don't want to fucking be around, I'm not going to do I can't do my best work because I can't ask them for help. I can't rely on them for shit. I can't trust them in order to do their job right. So in a way, I've got to waste some of my time in order to go back behind the other people that I work with to make sure they're doing their shit right. When you have a homogenous work environment, that shit doesn't happen. People trust each other. People know, oh man, I know Jeff down the hall is going to get his shit done. So I don't have to worry about pre-planning or spending any time in order to figure out if I've got to fix my shit to make, because his shit needed to be fixed. You know what I mean? And that's a big problem with development in anything nowadays too. We're changing people around like it's fucking baseball or football, thinking that's how shit works in an office environment, and it's not. You know, people got to get along. You got to give them time in order to get along. You got to give them time in order to get acquainted. You can't just throw a studio together and go, hey man, boy, you know, why ain't you got a AAA game set put together in fucking 2 months? What the fuck?
Yeah. But yeah, like after the Ridgeline Studios closure, Andrew Wilson should be going. I'm sorry. Every decision he made in the last 5 years, dumb.
Yeah,
absolutely dumb. Sure.
I don't understand how he still has a job right now.
I still don't understand
how he has made decisions that have wasted that much money, and everybody is like, oh yeah, that guy should still have a job. I mean, God, I say this at my job all the fucking time because I come across some dumb shit from people that make substantially more fucking money than I do, but yet I'm the one who's got to fix the fucking problems. You know,
Yeah.
I really wish, I would love to know what it's like in my life to be that much of a colossal fuck up, make that much fucking money, be able to piss that much money away, be able to fuck up that hard, and still wake up the next day and not have to worry about losing my job. I want to know what that's like. What's that like?
At least...
Oh, I just fucking I just pissed away $200 million in an arbitrary decision. Hey, well, that's way more than my fucking salary is anyway, but whatever.
I'm realizing that now. Maybe the reason...
I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, maybe the reason why he's not on fire, not on fire yet, I think is because, yes, they closed the studio down and everything. Yes, some people lost their job, but majority of the developers still have their jobs. So I guess they got shifted to other departments and everything. So technically, still have a job. So
But the money's still wasted. It's still
wasted.
time.
Yeah, it's still
There's
wasted.
still resources you're not getting back. I don't
Yeah, it's
care
still
if
wasted.
you fucking took and merged the Philadelphia Eagles with the goddamn Pittsburgh Steelers and made one team. You're still wasting everything that came before it, essentially. It's still wasted money. And you still have to spend money to make that happen.
Yeah.
So my question is this. How much money has been spent wasted paying Andrew Wilson, and how much money has been wasted on Andrew Wilson's decisions? If one figure is bigger than the other, something is a fucking problem here. And I think we know what the problem is.
Okay, so we've been talking for an hour, but let's talk for another 10 minutes, I guess, because there's some stuff I do want to discuss. So, knowing everything that is happening in the background, multiplayer is doing okay from what I heard. Battle Royale is doing okay from what I heard.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
because
but
that's where the battle passes are going to be. That's where
Yeah.
where the bulk of the marketing's got to be. Single player, if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be surprised. I'll be sad that it's gone because it's always been something I've liked about the franchise. I'm sorry, sue me. I like Battlefield single players. I like single player games. I like to have that fucking option. I mean, I played Grand Theft Auto in goddamn solo sessions for a reason. I played GTA Online by myself. Ugh! People suck sometimes. I don't want to fucking deal with them.
Yeah, so, realistically, do we think... Well, I know my decision because I've been saying for the last 6 months. This game is not coming out later this year.
No.
There's no way.
No.
And
if it does, it will be in the sorriest fucking state we've ever seen, and it will be the worst ever. And we've been saying that.
Yeah, we've been saying that. Well, me saying it, but it doesn't matter. We all need this together.
No. I've said what needed to happen for it to happen. I didn't say it was. I didn't say I wanted it to happen. And now everybody needs to get that shit straight too. I never said I wanted it in order to come out at the end of this year. I've said it's possible. Here's what would need to happen, and here's the state it would need to be in. Never once did I say I want it out this year. I firmly believe this shit needs to wait till the end of next year.
Yeah. So. I think this article just basically confirms there's no fucking way. But if there's a way, do you think they will release just multiplayer as a start?
Yeah, they would. Because it'll get the market going, and what they'll do is they will use it as a very, very, very shitty finger on the pulse. And if the pulse isn't fucking and if the pulse isn't borderline cardiac arrest, they're not going to fucking think it's a success.
Okay.
Just based on that whole 100 million fucking lofty dream, stupid fucking comment, period. This game is doomed to flop. I'm saying it now. I'm calling it now. It is going to flop no matter how well it does, no matter what it does, because Android Wilson said what he fucking said. That's the bar that has to be hit, kids. 100 million players. Has to be hit. And if it doesn't get hit, guess what? It's up to the vices of somebody who hasn't had a single solitary problem cutting off, nixing, or getting rid of things because he didn't like it, didn't like how much money it didn't make, didn't like how much money he wasted on the thing because it didn't do the thing that he wanted to do because he's too focused on appeasing the shareholders instead of making good product. I'm saying it now. This game is doomed to fail. It will not be a success now.
I am not gonna. Okay, you know what? Because like we've been negative for the rest of the episode, but I did say at the start.
I'm not being negative. I'm being cynical. There's a fucking difference.
Okay. Cynical, whatever. Skeptical, whatever.
Highly skeptical and cynical.
I did say in the intro, it's not all doom and gloom. I think we will be fine regarding the Battlefield franchise. But why I think is because Battlefield Labs exist. Good feedback so far. So far, people been saying that this game looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
I like
from what we've
seen.
The multiplayer section of this game is cooking. They're going to the right direction. It looks good, and the way the mechanics work and everything. Sure, it's not perfected because it's still alpha, but because Battlefield Labs exist, they can talk to people. They can get the feedback. They can playtest stuff. And they don't have to announce the release date anytime soon.
No,
They
they're
don't
not
have-
under
you don't
any
have to.
obligation in order to do it
just
whatsoever.
Keep going. Just let Battlefield Labs go. Get the feedback. Iterate like Byron's beat his word. Make something. Get the feedback. Change. Get the feedback. Play. Change and so on. Like,
And as long as that happens, this is really at the end of the day how I honestly feel like this is going to go down. Okay, I feel like potentially this is what's going to happen with this game.
I have my
We as
predictions
the
too,
player
yeah.
base, the niche of us who have always loved the franchise, who have always been dedicated and loyal to it, and even a handful of new people and some of the younger generations and whatnot, we're going to like what we see. We're going to like having our hands on it. We're going to like it. I feel like that's going to be the thing. But the problem being is it's not that matters. It's the corporate side of it, and the corporate side is where a lot of my cynicism come from. It's the corporate side of it is going to look at it as a fucking failure. It's just going to happen. They're going to say it didn't do what it wanted to do. It's not it. Blah 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 blah. All the stupid petty ass excuses for it not doing exactly what they've been saying to the shareholders for years on end that it's going to do. It's not about the players. We need to understand that here and now. It's not about appeasing us. We're going to like the product. There's going to be those of us that are going to like it, and we're going to find something in it in order to enjoy it. And I feel like, in a way, I will probably come back to the franchise based on what I am seeing so far, as long as that stays the course. But on the corporate side of it, no, it's not going to be a success. It's just that's it. That's where I stand on it. I feel like it's going to be a success to the players, but on the corporate side, it's going to be a total colossal fucking failure. Does that make it? Does that lay it out for you kids? So nobody comes and tries and attacks me on fucking Reddit. Oh, he's being negative. No, that's not it. That's not what I'm saying.
So, I think the game will be fine. That being said, realistically, do you think? Okay, if I was again Andrew Wilson and I need to make a decision, can't delay it because the budget is already bloated as fuck. We
You're
need
in
something.
too deep.
Yeah, we need something. If I'm Andrew Wilson and I have to make a decision, I'm the smart Andrew Wilson, I would do this. Don't sell this game at $70. They said they're not gonna charge $80 already, so that's good. Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, they're gonna. Okay, so let's say $60, right? Instead of doing a typical release, like, hey, new Battlefield is coming out later this year or March, whatever. $70. Multiplayer is out straight away. You're gonna get your single player later, right? I don't think that's the right way to do it because it's honestly you need the single player before the multiplayer is out because realistically
You have to establish your world. You have to establish the stakes.
That and also no one will play it. That's one thing. No one's gonna play it. No one will care. So the main
reason is because if the multiplayer is fucked up, people still got to have something to do, and that's what single player. That's another reason why single player is important. If your multiplayer launches and it's fucked up, then you still there's still a single player campaign. There's still something to do.
Yeah. So the way I see it, so you can't do $70 release date this year or next year. So the way I would do it, separate the multiplayer as a separate product. So if you want to do it, if you really need the cash really badly, really badly, release just the multiplayer for $30-$40 at the end of the year or March, whatever the case may be. Just multiplayer. That's it. Just multiplayer. No single player, no nothing. Just multiplayer. All right. We're establishing the player base. We get some money back. We have something to work with. It's not a complete disaster, but we can work from here. Okay. What's the attention we generate? Well, how many players we got right now? Okay, cool. Release your battle passes. Release your Battlefield Pro subscriptions, whatever, so on. Announce, hey, Battle Royale is coming later. Free to play in, 6 months, right? In March. Cool. All right, so we have some sort of foundation. Then, in that meantime, finish your single player, and you will not make a lot of money from it, but sell it for $15, your single player. In 6 months later, or 8 months later, whenever, right? Finish your single player late. Sure, Sell it separately for 15-20 bucks, like, because they want to build a platform for this franchise. They want Battlefield to be a platform for future games. They want they want this to be a long thing, a long thing. So that's why you have your Battlefield Pro subscription coming and everything, because it basically indicates, yeah, we want to keep this game alive as long as possible. Sure, release your multiplayer separately, 40-50 bucks. Battle Royale later, of course, because I'm not expecting Battle Royale to be on launch day under no circumstances. That's not happening. Release like 6 months later, whatever. Then single player, release it whenever it feels finished. Maybe during that time, maybe change some things to make it a bit more replayable, wherever. Maybe make it co-op, whatever the case may be. Doesn't matter. Release it later. Sell it for 15-10 bucks. You will not sell gangbusters. But hey, include some rewards for playing the single player. Get some skins, get some guns, or whatever the case may be. As long as it's not pay to win, but something to like justify the purchase. That you're not just playing a simple single player game. You're getting something out of it that you can carry forward to your multiplayer, your battle royales, whatever the case may be. And maybe down the line, listen, if it's good enough, maybe we can make a DLC for the single player. Maybe. And another $5, another $10, or whatever the case may be. Like, do that. It's not gonna sell gangbusters, yeah, but you're getting some money out of it.
I agree with that. The only problem being is like we've said, is like you've bulleted every single time that you've put the idea out there. It's not gonna sell gangbusters. And there's, again, where the corporate side is going to step in and go, well, the amount of invested versus return isn't worth it. The multiplayer is worth more than the money. So, again, look at GTA. This is the funniest fucking thing, and I'll even point this out because I just now realized this too. You know the sole form of DLC content that fucking game got, okay, as far as story content went? Because it really should have had some story content DLC, because those characters were interesting, and depending upon the ending that you picked, things, anyway. That story DLC came through Grand Theft Auto Online in a hilariously, slightly pathetic way. And I don't like it. I don't want that. I like the idea. I really do. But again, I see where corporate is going to step in and put the fucking brakes on it or fuck it up. I don't think we would, because what they would do is go, well, if they want story DLC, then we can integrate that into Rush or Breakthrough mode easily. Just a couple of 5-6 second cutscenes in order to just kind of kick the lore can down the road a little bit more, and it'll be enough for them. Because that's exactly what GTA Online did. That's exactly what they fucking did. There was just little bitty hints and bits of Trevor and Franklin so far. They've yet to do anything tied with Michael as far as I can tell. But yeah, that's exactly how they're going about it. And I don't think that would be good for Battlefield. I don't think that would work.
I don't know. It's like, because
I want it to. It would be great, I would want a single player to release later down the line and have good storyline for it. I want that, but I just don't see it happening.
I would love to have a single player. Like I said, but back a year or something ago, I said, like, listen, I was looking forward to this because Marcus Leto was interacting with the community. He was getting feedback. Hey, what do you like to see in a single player? Oh, what kind of single player you like to see? What kind of characters you would like to see? And all that kind of stuff, right? He was getting all that feedback, and I was low-key getting excited. Like, listen, oh, wow, we're going to have something really amazing. They're cooking,
there's
right?
some world building being done here.
Yeah,
there's
cooking,
some interest
right?
in doing this shit.
But that got scrapped, cancelled, so we're not getting that, unfortunately. So now we go plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever point we have right now. There's also another option, maybe.
We're on plan S. Sell.
Yeah. Good one. So there's also, could you scrap maybe the single player? Maybe.
I mean, I don't.
Just to save face.
What to what end other than just saving money? Because again, maybe this is me just getting old too. I need a reason why I should care about shooting things in your digital world. I can't just shoot shit for the sake of shooting shit like some of the youngins do these days. I can't just do things for the sheer spite of doing things or whatever fucking reason kids have these days. I can't do it. Why do you want me to play in your playground? For me, single player has always been the establishing pitch for that. Why did I want to play in Battlefield 4's playground so much? Well, because Battlefield 4 campaign was pretty fucking fun. Same thing with Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 campaign was pretty fucking fun. Battlefield 1 campaign was alright. It gave me enough of a reason to give a shit about playing about the multiplayer because the multiplayer tied to the single player so fucking tightly. And I liked that.
Yeah,
I didn't like the setting. I didn't like, I liked how the food was put together. I didn't necessarily like the flavors. I liked the ideas. I wanted that to continue with Battlefield 5, and it never fucking happened. Battlefield 5 is where this whorish fucking, this stupid fucking mentality started coming from, where we don't need to establish why the characters look the way they do in this alternative historical universe, where it should have been blatantly fucking obvious that that was important. Why? Tell me why things are the way they are. What made this universe so fucking alternate? Give me reasons to fucking care. Battlefield 4 did that. Okay, and and here's what's funny. I said I really didn't want storyline expansion and continuation done with multiplayer in like fucking DLCs and shit. But the irony of me saying that is Battlefield 4 did just that, but they did it in a way where you as the player filled in the gaps yourself. Final Stand. The last bit of DLC they made for that fucking game. It did it. Every map still tied into the single player in some capacity, way, shape, or fucking form. If you sit and you think about it. It wasn't blatantly laid out to you.
Every trailer they released for the DLC back in Battlefield 4 had a story.
Yep.
After
and it was done right. Do that again. Do that. That worked.
So maybe scrap the single player, but reuse the the storytelling bits and everything you have so far, remake them into live service somehow, make sure the trailers and everything is connected to that universe somehow, right? If we're not gonna have a single player, if we have to like scrap it, sad, sure, but honestly, first impressions matter a lot, especially for this game. This game has to be... we've been saying for the last 2 years.
It's not just that. It's the first impressions and the lasting impressions, because I'll point at Call of Duty once again and say, man, the reason why we got Beavis and Butthead skins is because they don't know how to expand their own lore anymore. They don't know how to be creative with it anymore. They just want... Exactly. They have no fucking identity. So it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me, therefore I don't care about COD anymore. I don't care.
Yeah, the lore of Warzone or whatever, that's gone whatsoever. Like, even single
shoot things in my sandbox. But why, though? Why? Just for the sheer sake of shooting things? There's plenty of other shit out there where I can go shoot things.
Yeah, even COD single players these days, unless, for me personally, unless it's a Modern Warfare game and the single player is a continuation of the characters, I don't care. I really don't care. I really don't. Just simple as that. I really don't care about Black Ops characters.
But then again, at the end of the day, it never really mattered with any other sideline COD title. It only ever mattered with Modern Warfare, and that's why Modern Warfare was so damn successful. You gave people a reason to give a shit about playing in your sandbox. Battlefield needs to go back to doing that. I don't care about 2042 because 2042 doesn't really have a fucking split single player to it. There's no story there. I don't care. Why would I want to care? Give me a reason. You can go shoot people. Again, I can shoot people in other games.
Yeah. Even the background explanation does anyway. But 2042 is a different story entirely, so it does make sense. Like speaking of, the article mentioned they did a post-mortem of Battlefield 2042 internally, and they said that Battlefield 2042, it wasn't the problem with the vision, it was the problem with the execution, and a lot of Battlefield community members and everything, they said, yeah, you're stupid.
No.
You know what? No, I actually have to disagree with everyone. I think EA internally did a good post-mortem of this. I think this makes sense, because when they talk about the vision, they're not talking about specialists or whatever the case may be, right? We're not talking about mechanics. We're talking about the vision of the game. The vision of the game, 2042, was a fantastic vision. I think it was fantastic vision. The
aesthetics, the visuals, everything.
Just the idea what's the world this is and what's happening. It's past post Battlefield 4 after China Revolution, all that kind of stuff. The vision was there. Like, the world is going to crumble. The vision was there. It was there. Execution as EA's Post-Mortem notified, yeah, execution was fucking garbage. Yeah, I agree. You could have classes, you could have a single player, you could have, you know, a good multiplayer game with factions and everything, and get, you know, establish that vision, make that vision a reality. You could do that, but execution was fucking garbage. Yeah, so I agree with that Post-Mortem. I think that makes sense. Like, in simpleton terms, it makes sense. But that's Battlefield 2042.
They wanted to build
yeah.
the world, but they didn't.
The execution was not there to build the world. Yeah,
they built the world for everybody to play in. The world was cool and the world was nice, but nobody. There was nobody cared.
It's like here's a poster for a movie, right? This is what we want in this movie. This is how the poster looks. This is our vision, right? And then you watch the movie, like, what the fuck is this shit? It's like,
I mean,
that's what it is.
imagine watching an action movie that has absolutely no story to it whatsoever. It's just scenes of dudes shooting each other. There's no...
Yeah, good example.
Like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Perfect example. Imagine modern Lord of the Rings battle scenes versus the original Lord of the Rings battle scenes, okay? On one hand, when Peter Jackson did it, you had clear-cut geography, you knew where everyone was, you knew where the army stood, you had clear-cut objectives, you knew what they wanted, you knew the stakes and the odds as far as the battle went, and, you know, there were things that you knew had to happen for things to happen. And now, in modern Lord of the Rings, which I've seen this, it's just a bunch of action scenes of things happening. Things just happen, and then they happen. So because this needs to contrivously happen, and then that happens and happens and happens and happens. And all the while, it's just a mishmash of cuts of people just slashing at each other with swords and shit. And you, as the viewer, are sitting there going, what? That's what it feels like.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, just let's end the podcast because I don't want to ramble for now, half an hour, even though we could. But I need to make food and everything. Right. So, predictions.
I've made mine.
Yeah. I think the game will be fine.
And I will stand by it.
It's very disappointing what the single player is right now. But then again, I'm not surprised whatsoever. Everyone's like, no, saying it's so, Battlefield is fucked again? Oh no! Well, if you've been listening to Battlefield 1 podcast for the last 2 years, you know we told you that. We told you that. Like, we told you. We told you what's happening behind this.
With us all these years, congratulations.
Yeah, we told you what's happening.
Spicy, sir. You're very good, sir. Yes.
Yeah, we told you.
Applaud
that's why
yourself and pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, that's why you should listen to Battlefield 1 podcast on a regular basis, because we actually tell you how it is and we're not sugarcoated. So. Reddit hates me. Oh my god, I've been interacting with the Reddit a lot, and I tell them like,
how do you even wade in that cesspool?
It's mostly entertainment, just because I want to see how they react to like certain comments. Because some of the hot takes I've seen there is like I just see boomers screaming like, no battle royale, no, it has to be this way. Why can't you make a good Battlefield game? Yeah, define a Battlefield game, you moron. Like, why can't make a good game? We just sat here and
talked about how it doesn't have a goddamned identity anymore.
Yes,
like, yeah, that's why.
Like, people don't see the context anymore. They just want Battlefield 3 remaster and Battlefield 4 remaster and just call it a day. I'm like, okay, cool. What are you gonna do a month later?
What was the quote from Idiocracy? Not that I really want to kind of put it that way in order to make it sound, but what was the quote from Idiocracy? You ever think Einstein walked around thinking everybody was a bunch of dumb shits?
Yeah. Anyway, so I think the game will be fine. But clearly the single player is the problem here. Also, oh my god, you weren't on that episode, but I was talking about the Battle Royale leaks, and some gameplay mechanics got leaked. Some of them was so fucking dumb.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know at this point. I want the surprise of the horridness to be that.
I was reading the leaks for on the podcast, right? The technical stuff, and then I started reading more. Like, I'm literally on the show. Wait a minute, that sounds fucking dumb. Who came up with this? Just like, what the fuck?
Why would you do that?
Imagine
and if I gotta say that more than one time as something that's being developed, then it's a lost cost.
I'll mention that on the episode because I really want your opinion about that. But anyway, that's what it is. I think this article just basically nailed in the coffin that confirmed what I've been saying for the last year. This game is not coming out this year. There's no way. Unless, as I'm predicting, it's just going to be the multiplayer section of the game. That's my prediction. I don't know. I that's all I'm gonna say. It's just like EA being EA again. Unfortunately, I understand where they're coming from. I fully understand where they're coming from. That Battlefield should be up there with the big boys, being its own thing, of course. Being Battlefield. They have the talent and everything to make their own choices, and like Destiny and whatever you want to say it, like make Battlefield great again and whatever it is, maybe, right?
I don't even want to hear that shit anymore either. And it's not even being political or nothing like that. All I want to hear come out of these motherfuckers' mouths is we just want to make something good. That's it. That's all they should be saying.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
all we want. Yeah,
we just want to make something good. That's it. All I want to hear.
But also agree with certain people that say like, just because we in such shit state, in a joke state, doesn't mean we have to lower our standards for the game. I fully agree with that too. We should not lower our standards just because 2042 happened, just because Battlefield 5 happened.
Then again, I can't even really lower my standards anymore because you can barely slip a piece of paper underneath of it. That's how I'm not disappointed anymore.
Yeah. So, long story short, I think the game will be fine. But, again, I guess it's tradition.
We can just use this or the episode title, okay? Critical acclaim, corporate failure.
That's not a bad title, actually. Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. That is my prediction. Critical acclaim, corporate failure. That's how I feel it's what's going to happen.
That's actually a good title. I will probably use that. I'll see how it goes with CEO.
Write that down. It'll be important later.
Yeah. So, yeah. I have nothing else to say other than
neither do I. I think that's our cue in order to cut this bitch.
It's just a cultural thing. Like it just like certain things have to change, and certain people have to understand that when you're making changes, you'll have growing pains. You'll have loads of growth.
It's got to stick too. It's got to stick. It can't just be. It can't just happen and then a couple of months later change either. It's got to stick.
Yep. Yeah. You have to commit to the vision. Like. EA is not happy about something, well, because you set unrealistic expectations. DICE is not happy that someone's commanding them what to do. Well, I'm sorry, you fucked up for the last 10 years.
What's the phrase that's always used? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, DICE, but you need some management because you've been fucking up. And also, if EA let DICE lose again and do their own thing, because you know what, I know people are really unfamiliar with this, but from what we heard and what we were told, EA is very loosey with DICE. Like at least majority of the time, they never really micromanaged them that much because they were making something, they were making money, so we're like, okay, whatever, we'll let them do whatever. Like, we'll let them do their own thing as long as it brings the money back. Makes sense. But when you look at the whole, history and the record and everything, how's everything going, I'm like, oh, sorry, we had to step in. Because you do just jack shit now. You just, like, I don't know what the fuck you do.
I'm not going to say that doesn't happen either. I mean, I'm
sorry.
Yeah. There are people out there who just legit just want an easy salary, and most of the time, you usually find them in management, but they do happen at boots on the ground too. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen either. Yeah, but that's where good management needs to be able to come in and see shit like that. Yeah, management that cares about the floor operations. Management that actually cares instead of they themselves just want to be there to collect a fucking salary. I mean, everybody's got to care about their job for everything to work right too. But again, I think we're working into our circling back phase, so we need to just end this bitch. Yeah. That being said, thank you for joining us for this entirety of the discussion. We hope you at least take something positive away from it, from all of the cynicism and negativity, quote unquote, that we've been throwing out there. We have a Patreon if you like what you've heard. Follow us on the socials. You know how the usual YouTube shit is. Like, subscribe. The algorithm requires engagement. You know how that goes. Comment below if you didn't like what you heard. If we're on YouTube.
Oh, let us know. Yeah, let
us know. I personally won't read it, but Tom does, so
I read everything, and I send everything to him to read.
And I kind of, I have my response to it internally, and that's that. I'm not here to start an argument. I'm just here to lay my opinion out there and call it good. And if I'm wrong, I fucking say it. I don't care.
Should be a Patreon episode, just us going through your comments. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for everything. Website is done. Just need to optimize some stuff, and hopefully for the next episode, I can already promote it, and it will be in a good state.
More
But-
stuff to promote.
Yeah, well, yeah, in a good way. So to make the podcast grow and everything. But website is done. Thank you guys for enjoying the last episode on Patreon. That was a public episode I did with Andre. I got some good comments about it that people enjoyed. Also, the first 10 minutes of the first 5 minutes of the episode on the Patreon public episode was not scripted. I did that was all. I literally got mad at him for that specific reason. It was not scripted. It was not designed or talked about. Like, I literally just like remembered to like, oh yeah.
Sounds like some spicy shit happened. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for interacting with us. We'll see you guys on the next one. We'll see you on the battlefield and everything. So let us know what you think. You interact with the show. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good day.
Good night, everybody.